chain bubble, boys. We chain bubble. Bubble left 2, 1. Bubble here, bubble here. God, we're going down. Oh, that was a disaster. I'm gonna bubble the regroup. Ah, maybe not. Ah, yeah, I did. Eventually I'll get there. Eventually we get there. Bubble on them. Immobile was. Immobile was. Hammer stun regroup. Woo! We're playing the Warrior Elite Specialization support Spellbreaker, but it's kind of more of an offensive support. It's kind of transitioned a little bit from the old meta. Believe it or not, the meta's changed, but Spellbreaker hasn't really changed for support. You're still playing Selly. This brings Immob. This brings CC, Boon Strip. But yeah, we're playing Tactics, Discipline, Spellbreaker. Those trait lines haven't changed. You can pick Empowered Allies in Tactics if you want. I like Shrug It Off, Shake It Off. It is going to be buffed as well with the next patch. It's going to proc when you use your heal skill rather than when you have a certain amount of conditions. This trait really, really good. If you don't have a heal in your party, you could play like some shout build, some heal shout build. But if you've got a proper comp, healers and all that stuff, all that jam, yeah, you're just playing this. The reason you play support Spellbreaker in this meta is if it works. If it doesn't work, you don't play it. This could be S tier. It could be the worst possible tier. Depending on the situation, it has a lot of condi cover, and the most important one is immobilize. Honestly, there's not much you can cook. You have to have fast hands with this build. You've got to play Discipline. You've got to play Tactics. You've got to play Spellbreaker. It's not rocket science. No one's going to be playing anything else. It's a World vs. World Zerg build. It isn't for solo roaming. You could probably play solo outside of a party with this build. You might need to swap a few things around to stay alive without support. But it's pretty forgiving, very tanky, has a lot of health obviously. Very high health pool as a baseline, and then with the Sally, even more. We got Tempest runes for the condi duration and all stats. Sally, Sally, Sally. We have concentration and some expertise infusions. We're trying to get ourselves as close to max condi duration and max boon duration without losing too much stats. This is always the go-to. Sally's just so good. You can add in some Malice sigils if you want more condi duration. You could add in some concentration sigil. You could add in food with concentration. I'm going to use probably this maintenance oil for the concentration and expertise. So as you can see when I pop that, we'll get a little bit more. We're using Sally food. Minus incoming damage or stats. Sigils and stuff and relics kind of interchangeable. But I think the relic is... Maybe the relic is actually not swappable. Maybe the Sunless is just going to be the best. Sunless Relic, huge on the elite. Bit of a long cooldown. That's a main issue with it, but it just pops off. It's more condi cover, it's more cripple, and with a trait, you immobilize, okay? It's going to be great because they're going to have so many condis on them, they won't be able to cleanse that condi probably, or there's a chance that they won't cleanse that. And with condi duration, you're getting more duration of immobilize, obviously. And this trait here is so good. Its cooldown is per target. So when you cripple, you immobilize, and it's per target. So you can AoE immob, basically. You have cripple on auto attack on the third hit. You have cripple on savage leap on the sword. You have cripple on hammer shock, which is ranged. Full counter has cripple, and then you also have cripple on your elite, like so. And the Sunless Relic will proc. You've got break enchantments, boon removal, unblockable, and it's going to remove one boon plus another boon AoE unblockable with this trait here. You do have a bit of an issue with adrenaline on this build because I'm taking full slow counter because you don't take loss aversion. So you will find it that sometimes you won't have the ability to use a burst skill when you want to because you won't have the adrenaline. You need to just like swap weapons more to get that adrenaline on swap. You just need to know and understand that that's the situation it is. You're not going to use your burst skills as much, but you will gain access to more immob, more cripple, more slow on your full counter. You definitely can play loss aversion. Absolutely no problem at all. But I feel like slow counter is very, very strong. And you just have more impact when you do use that. And you tend to use it when you're using your burst because it resets your burst skill. Therefore, you can do more cover for your immobilize and also just more pressure on top of the enemy supports and whoever you're hitting. There's powerful synergies between the traits and the CC on days, on your hammer, Earthshaker, your CC with your hammer, 4 and 5. As you can see here, you've got dazes, stuns, pause, knockdowns, launches, all remove boons. Dazes immobilize. Again, look at the duration on that because of the condi duration. So you can see here, there's a lot of synergy. Disabling a foe, removing a boon. Full counter refreshes all burst skills on hit. You get attacker's insight. Yeah, more stats. And you obviously have more synergy with this enchantment collapse again. You're doing CC, you're removing a boon, you're removing more boons. Hashtag synergizing. Warrior's Sprint is always the go-to pick in Discipline, I think. Nothing else. Unless you're playing like staff healing, but you're not. Because I said so. Run faster. No, that's not the reason you pick this. This is basically your leap skills breaking mobs. So to get off your... there's a lot of mobs. You are the immob machine, but you're also the anti-immob machine. Say you want to leap on somebody and cripple and immob them. Say you want to hammer stun on somebody and CC and immob them and do the stuff. You can't do that if you're immobilized, right? Your leap's going to be... Well, you can't leap while you're immobed. So this just allows you to play the video game and do your job. Okay, banner, resolution, allies, pulsing boons applied through banners last longer. You use that because you're using banner of tactics. This is getting buffed as well. Same as Shake It Off. This is getting buffed. They're reducing the cast and aftercast. So you're going to be able to do that quicker, faster. It's really, really good. Stability, super speed, resistance, light field. It's a stun break. So good. Break enchantments when in range of the enemy. It's 360 radius. Very, very strong. You've got to be using that. It's such a low CD. It's a high priority skill you should be using. You should be rotating your Shake It Off with your Warhorn. So you don't want to use overlap too much of this. Because you'll find that when you're in hammer, you'll need like cleanse, right? So usually what you do is you use Shake It Off when you've got hammer out. If you need to, but your job isn't to cleanse, but you're there to support. Okay, so just look at your party UI, see if you need to support. If you're not getting the support straight away, you can always support. If you need to go off the tag to support people, you can do that. You can monkey about. You have a lot of mobility and a lot of sustain, so you can go and peel for allies or create opportunities for your allies. Yeah, try to overlap your wins with other warriors. But other than that, you can use it on defensive self-bombs, on wells, outside of wells. Whenever the situation allows you to maximize the value of this skill, really. It could be to stop the enemy push, could be to stop the enemy ranged pew-pew because it blocks missiles. If you're fighting versus a cloud, could be very useful on choke points. Could be very good on situations where you want to force the enemy to dodge and then you land your wells. So you don't have to necessarily always put it on wells, but it depends on how many warriors you've got. But yeah, try and use it in the appropriate specific scenario. On your own bubble, you will be then rotating your weapon skills to lock them down in the bubble, which obviously, like I said before, Sunless will immob with cripple. So, and then you can crack on with immob, flurry, CC, daze, whatever, CC, hammer stun. So keep in mind again, all dazes stuns will inflict immob. Play this build. You kind of need to play aggressive, but in this meta with all the condis, with all the condis, Jeff, you might not be able to play super aggressive with this build. So, like I said, if you're not getting value from this class, Scourge might be better situation. You might be able to pop off with Scourge better than Warrior. But if you play, even if you play a little bit more passive than normal, you can still really, really carry with this build. I tend to leap in with sword and start with sword in like rotation. Now I know some warriors out there will be like, what? You don't do that. You go with the hammer. Well, I like sword leap because I like Call of Valor at the start. I think barrier's good at the start. If you see a veil, guys, go through it. And you can always bubble with veil or leap through veil and then get on top of the enemy and catch them off guard. Oh yeah, auto attack. Don't be scared to auto attack. Because I said earlier, immobilize, cripple, auto attack, cripple on the 3rd hit. Stay alive, boys, is your most important priority as normal. Boon removal, CC, support, immobilize. The order of priorities, it's varied. It's in the moment. High priority skill, hammer shock. 600 range, you can immobilize with leg specialist. Fun fact, you can use this on gates in Wild vs. Wild, and you can immobilize the enemy behind the gate, pin them to the gate, and they can take a lot of damage from your team, right? So if your comm is asking for pulls on gates and stuff, or pulls in general, get ready to just use that. If you don't have adrenaline, you don't need to worry about it. You just instantly cast that. 5 targets. Staggering blow again, 5 targets, knockback. It'll remove boons with trait, blah, blah, blah. It will CC and immobilize. Use that to disrupt maybe reses or knock enemies back. They're on top of you doing damage and they don't have stab. Very, very good. All the other skills kind of lower priority. This is single target. This recharges Fierce Blow, but I don't know, man. Like, it's not going to do much damage. But on Selly, yeah, maybe you can do a little bit of damage. Your priority wouldn't be these skills. If you've used these 2 skills, like, that's pretty much good enough. You can swap off this and go straight into, immobilizing with auto attack, immobilizing with sword. Savage Leap is, like I said, immobilize on 1 target, cripple. It's mostly for positioning. You're using this to leap in and leap out. Oh yeah, I forgot to go through sigils. I said sigils were flexible. We've gone for Geo and Hydro on hammer, and I've gone for Blight and Null on sword. So Null will proc and will boon rip AoE, and you're going to proc poison, leap and immob. So you get a little bit of condis at the start, and you might not have adrenaline straight away on sword. So then you would just swap into hammer. And then hammer, you could probably start popping off. Hammer 3, you should have decent adrenaline by then. And then you could start hammer stunning and F2ing and hammer stunning and swapping to flurry and stuff like this. Yeah, just be patient. You're not going to be able to spam burst skills, but you don't need to in this meta anyway, because you don't want to be on top of the enemy YOLOing for like long durations. You want to go in, do a lot of bursts, then get out. So the lack of adrenaline on this build, it really isn't a problem. Like healing and cleansing, like I said, you've got cleanse on Warhorn, cleanses on 4 and 3, cleanse on Shake It Off, rotate it, use the Warhorn, use Shake It Off when you got hammer. There you go. You're going to need more support though. So in your party, we'll be supporting Scrapper, Heal Vindy, some Heal Scourge maybe, some Selly Scourge, some Firebrand. Like I said, 4 counter, very, very strong, resets your burst skill. It's stability, cripple, slow, immobilize because of trait, boon removal because it's a daze, more immobilize because it's a daze, it's unblockable, 8-second cooldown. You've got to use this to reset your burst. You've got to use this in situations where you need to get that survivability, absorb the next attack. Defiant Stance I went with on the heal skill, I feel like to the limit fits the build really well because of this trait loss. You have a slow counter, but you just don't survive very well, and you just need to learn to not be a spamming burst machine, but a high value burst machine. Like I said before, set up a rotation bubble with other Spellbreakers. When it's your turn, you want to be using Savage Leap to get into position. Sometimes you won't need to even use a leap to get into position. You could just go towards the enemy and bubble. Remember the cast time though, 1.5 seconds. So getting your timing right to land that on top of the right location. But yeah, melee combo can be basically Boon Rip CC immob. You can do Earthshaker 4 counter Earthshaker, or you can do Flurry 4 counter Flurry, whatever you want. Okay. Just make sure you're looking at your allies, looking at the enemy team, pay attention, and you're gaming, bro. You're gaming. Also, when I'm engaged with the sword, so we're doing some like A little bit of condi here and there. Enemy's going to be condied up from other classes. Then you swap to hammer. You're going to proc hydro and bleed. So it's more condi. So let me just show you what that looks like. So say you leap in, you boon rip. Now we get the adrenaline. Now you can see the condis. I'm not going to proc F2 here because they won't hit me, but you can see the condis procking and the chill procking after. So there you go. You might actually find yourself not engaging in the fight straight away. So you actually have a lot of time to then go back to hammer. And then you maybe go back to sword again. And then you might engage with full adrenaline. And by that time, then you go to here. You go in. You bubble. If I've got target on the golem, the sunless will go there. Then we immobilize. Then we would F2. Then we would flurry again. Then we can obviously do this again. If we're still wanting to go more. Like, if we still want to stay in melee range. But there's no, we don't have to swap all the time. You could just stay in sword. And you're going to disengage with Warhorn or something. You can disengage. Blast some fields. You have blast on a hammer stun as well. I forgot to mention. There we go. Some blasts. You have a leap finish, obviously. So, light field. If you want a condi cleanse, you can combo that. Remember, you prioritize your own field. So, area of cleanse. But yeah, I feel like this build is very, very strong. You're popping off on this. Because how unorganized 𝑺 versus 𝑺 tends to be. It's just that timing. Just that patience. And when it's good, it's going to be fantastic. Let me know what you think. Hit me up in the comments. As usual, if you've got a better build, link it to me. Or come and shout at me on the stream. There's some opportunities here and some you can adapt. But yeah, it's really fun to play. I had fun. I'm done with Spellbreaker. I think we're going to play Condi Firebrand next.